The final total was
7,381.
and that is unreal. Sets us up so well for the next few years.
The ground is shaking in the Yukon, and not because of the cold. In Season 16, Episode 17 of Gold Rush, everything changes. This isn't just another cleanup or another weigh-in. This is the moment where risk turns into reward, and the numbers coming off the scale don't just surprise the crew member. They shock the entire mining world. At the heart of it all is Parker Schnabel, leading a relentless push through the unforgiving terrain of the Klondike. Gold is pouring through the sluice boxes in volumes we haven't seen before, and with prices hovering around $3,500 an ounce, every speck carries serious weight. But behind that glittering payoff lies chaos. Sleepless nights, equipment pushed beyond its limits, and split-second decisions that could cost millions. This isn't luck, it's pressure, precision, and pure nerve colliding at the highest level. What's happening right now could redefine what success looks like in the Yukon, and prove that the modern gold rush is more intense than ever. Subscribe now, and don't miss the biggest gold moments of the season. Gold has exploded to an unbelievable $3,500 an ounce. This isn't a minor bump. It's a historic spike that's turned every patch of dirt in the Yukon into what looks like a buried fortune. At prices like this, even the smallest speck of gold sitting in a wash plant carries insane value, more than many people earn in weeks. Financial experts say gold is the ultimate safe haven, while other markets shake and stumble. But for miners on the ground, that only raises the stakes. The pressure this season is higher than it's ever been. If your sluice box isn't catching gold today, you're missing out on what could be a once-in-a-generation opportunity. And no one understands that better than Tony Beets. The Klondike veteran has been dominating at his Indian River site for 5 straight weeks. His mission? A massive 6,500-ounce season target, and he's wasting zero time chasing it. So far, he's already stacked up 775 ounces. That's an explosive start and proof that serious wealth is buried beneath that frozen ground. Tony is making an early season push to lock in profits while prices are sky high. He's even admitted the numbers make him nervous. They're so high it almost feels unreal. But Indian River is currently his only cash machine, and it has to run nonstop, day and night, if he wants to stay ahead. The amount of money flowing through these remote Yukon operations is almost impossible to imagine. Without a doubt, this is one of the strongest starts to a mining season we've ever seen. But here's the twist. Even with record profits on the table, everything can fall apart in seconds. Now let's head to Dominion. Parker Schnabel is making one of the boldest moves of his career. He's staked everything on new ground and needs at least 100 ounces from just 3 days of sluicing to prove the gamble was worth it. For the first time this season, he's fired up his wash plant, Sulfur, on the legendary Golden Mile, a stretch of land long rumored to hold serious gold. If the plant runs clean and steady, Parker believes this ground alone could deliver an estimated 3,500 ounces. The stakes have never been higher. Season 16, Episode 17 isn't just about gold totals. It's about risk, timing, and whether these miners can capitalize on a historic market before the window slams shut. In the Klondike, fortunes can rise overnight, but they can disappear just as fast. It's the kind of breakthrough he always hoped for, but never truly expected to see. As the crew begins feeding pay into Sulfur in Season 16, Episode 17, the ground immediately looks promising. And what most viewers don't realize is the mountain of work required to move and set up a wash plant like this on fresh territory. It's not just flipping a switch. It's weeks of hauling equipment, dialing in water flow, balancing screens, and making sure every moving part works in sync. Then came the moment of truth. After only 3 days of steady running, the team gathered around the scales. You could feel the tension. The gold kept stacking up. 100 ounces. 120. And finally it settled at 125.8 ounces. At $3,500 per ounce, that small glittering pile translates to more than $440,000 in just 72 hours. That's not just a solid start, that's a statement. Parker Schnabel couldn't hide his satisfaction. Compared to this same point last season, they're in a far stronger position. And with operating costs on a mine this size constantly draining cash, seeing the new cut deliver like this is a massive relief. The crew feels it too, that surge of confidence that comes with early success. But staying hot all summer? That's a completely different challenge. Keeping that pace will push every excavator, every pump, and every crew member to their limit. The gold is there, but focus and consistency will decide whether momentum turns into millions. The big question, did the old-timers really leave enough behind for Parker to reach those million-dollar milestones? Indian River turns up the heat. While Dominion is firing on all cylinders, Tony Beets is demanding results at Indian River. Tony set a clear expectation, at least 250 ounces from his early bird cut to stay aligned with his ambitious 6,500-ounce season goal. But it hasn't been smooth sailing. A flooded cut slowed progress, and a cracked screen deck on the wash plant forced repairs. With cousin Mike away, Jacob stepped in as acting foreman, and the pressure was real. They pushed through 7 straight days of sluicing, stopping only briefly to fix what broke. At Gold Way, nobody was breathing easy. The numbers climbed, 200 ounces, then 214.6. Slightly under target, yes. But at current prices, that haul still carries a value close to $750,000. Tony's season total now stands at 632 ounces, nearly a tenth of his monster goal. He made it clear to the crew, next time the bar is higher. Considering the mechanical setbacks, they're still in solid shape. But in the Klondike, solid isn't enough when you're chasing records. Meanwhile, Kevin Beets has been working through his own stockpiled pay dirt. To stay on track, he needs 88 ounces a week, but this round delivered 48.46 ounces, worth roughly $170,000. Not disastrous, but not ideal either. Kevin remains confident. There's gold in the ground. They just need to get operations back to peak efficiency. With fuel and payroll bills piling up, every ounce matters more than ever. The gold totals look impressive, but hitting 6,500 ounces will require near-flawless execution from here on out. Sulfur Creek gamble pays off. If there's one thing Parker is known for, it's calculated risk. But his move at Sulfur Creek might be one of his boldest yet. He poured serious capital into ground most miners had abandoned decades ago. The old-timers supposedly stripped it clean, leaving behind nothing but tailings. Preparing the site required heavy investment in equipment, logistics, and infrastructure. And if the ground came up empty, the financial hit would be brutal. This week marked Sulfur's first run of the season. Even Parker admitted they might only see 20 ounces after all that effort. When the mats came off and cleanup began, nerves were high. But then the gold started appearing. And it didn't stop. 114.8 ounces. For ground believed to be exhausted, that result is nothing short of remarkable. It proves Parker's instinct for spotting overlooked pay dirt is still razor sharp. And that wasn't the only win. Across all his active plants, weekly production reached an incredible 527.12 ounces, valued at more than $1.8 million. That single week has completely reshaped the trajectory of the season. Parker's total now stands at 1,235.4 ounces, nearly 1,000 ounces ahead of where he was at this exact point last year. It's a massive shift, validating a strategy many critics thought was too aggressive. The technical hiccups that slowed them earlier are finally being ironed out. Efficiency is climbing fast. Sulfur alone improved gold recovery by 35% compared to the previous week. At the same time, the plant known as Bob at the Bridge cut delivered a dependable 156.2 ounces, worth nearly $550,000. The most surprising detail? Consistency. Despite operating on different cuts, the two primary plants finished within just 4 ounces of each other. That kind of steady ground is rare, and it's exactly what turns a strong season into a legendary one. Now the real question is whether this momentum can carry them all the way to the finish line, or if the Klondike has one more twist waiting. This kind of steady, predictable ground is what every miner hopes for. When the gold comes in consistently, it gives Parker Schnabel the power to plan several moves ahead instead of constantly reacting to surprises. Right now, Parker and his crew aren't just doing well, they're dominating. Camp morale is through the roof. The frustrating sluicebox blues that haunted earlier weeks, gone. With every cleanup, they're proving something important to the entire mining world. If you bring the right machines, build the right team, and refuse to cut corners, there's still serious fortune hiding in ground other people walked away from. The plants are finally dialed in, efficiency is climbing, and with plenty of season left, production should only trend upward. Still, one big question hangs in the air. Can this hot streak survive once the Yukon weather shifts? Yukon fortune. A season for the history books. When you step back and look at the numbers, it's obvious that Season 16 is shaping up to be legendary. Among all the years spent chasing treasure in the Yukon, this one stands tall. Between Parker and Tony Beets, we're seeing millions of dollars in raw gold pulled from frozen ground week after week. A decade ago, that kind of output would have sounded impossible. Record-breaking gold prices combined with shockingly rich pay have created the perfect storm. Operations are being pushed to their absolute limits, and somehow they're holding strong. Tony, the longtime powerhouse of the Klondike, has already blasted past the 1,000-ounce mark this early in the season. That's a massive achievement. He's operating with the kind of relentless discipline that explains why he's earned the title King of the Klondike. His experience isn't just helpful, it protects him from the chaos the North throws at everyone else. Parker, meanwhile, is ahead of his own previous pace by a huge margin. His expansion into large-scale territory, a move some doubted, is paying off in a big way. But here's the thing people don't always see during those exciting weigh-ins. None of this happens overnight. These crews are grinding in some of the harshest conditions on Earth. Machines break, and repairs cost a fortune. Cuts flood and erase weeks of progress. Overhead expenses climb into the millions. One disastrous week, one catastrophic engine failure, could wipe out profits in a heartbeat. And beyond the mechanical risks, there's the mental pressure. Managing dozens of workers, battling permafrost, and carrying the weight of multi-million-dollar decisions isn't something just anyone can handle. Every ounce they pour onto the scale represents a fight against a landscape that doesn't want to give up its treasure. Yet despite the setbacks, despite the exhaustion, the gold keeps coming. Cleanup after cleanup reveals that unmistakable yellow shine, the reward that makes the struggle worth it. There's a real sense this season that something historic is unfolding. Each bucket of dirt moved feels like another line written in Yukon history. It makes you wonder what else might still be buried deep beneath that rugged terrain, waiting for someone bold or crazy enough to chase it. Under the endless glow of the midnight sun, the engines keep roaring. The crews keep pushing. The dream of a record-smashing finale fuels every shift. At this point, it's bigger than mining. It's a lesson in resilience. The Yukon may be unforgiving, but for those who refuse to quit, the payoff can be extraordinary. This level of consistency is something miners spend entire careers searching for. When the ground delivers steady numbers week after week, it changes everything. It allows Parker Schnabel to think strategically instead of scrambling to fix constant setbacks. Instead of reacting to disasters, he can map out the next cut, forecast fuel usage, schedule maintenance, and project gold totals with real confidence. Right now, Parker's operation feels unstoppable. The energy in camp is completely different from the tension we've seen in past seasons. Crews that were once stressed about barely hitting targets are now watching gold totals stack higher than expected. The plants are tuned, the water flow is balanced, the pay is consistent, and that combination is incredibly powerful. Momentum in mining is everything. Once you find it, you guard it with everything you've got. But momentum in the Yukon is fragile. Weather can turn without warning. A week of heavy rain can flood a cut and stall production. A sudden cold snap can freeze lines and cripple a wash plant overnight. Even with the best preparation, the North always has the final say. That's why this hot streak feels both thrilling and tense at the same time. Everyone knows how quickly things can shift. A historic chapter in the Klondike. Looking at the broader picture, Season 16 isn't just strong, it's historic. Between Parker and Tony Beets, the Yukon is giving up gold at a rate that feels almost unreal. Millions of dollars in raw metal are being pulled from permafrost every single week. Years ago, miners would have called these totals fantasy. What makes this moment so unique is the rare alignment of two forces: sky-high gold prices and exceptionally rich ground. Either one alone would make for a good season. Together, they create something extraordinary. Every ounce recovered carries record-breaking value, amplifying every cleanup and magnifying every decision. Tony's dominance remains undeniable. Crossing the 1,000-ounce threshold this early in the calendar isn't just impressive, it's a declaration. He operates with calculated aggression, squeezing every productive hour out of his equipment. Decades in the Klondike have sharpened his instincts. He knows when to push harder, when to repair, when to pivot. That kind of experience can't be taught. It's earned through brutal winters, failed cuts, and hard lessons. Parker, on the other hand, represents evolution. His move into larger-scale territory required enormous financial commitment. Bigger equipment, larger crews, higher overhead, the risk multiplied overnight. But so did the potential reward. And now, with his season totals far ahead of last year's pace, that gamble looks smarter by the week. Still, the numbers on the scale only tell part of the story. Behind every gold weigh-in is a chain of pressure most viewers never fully see. Heavy machinery breaks, and parts must be flown into remote areas at staggering cost. Fuel bills alone can reach astronomical levels. Payroll for dozens of crew members continues whether the gold is flowing or not. When a cut floods, it doesn't just delay production. It drains morale and burns money. And then there's the mental toll. Running a multi-million-dollar operation in one of the harshest climates on Earth demands relentless focus. Sleep becomes secondary. Small mistakes can snowball into catastrophic losses. Leaders must project confidence even when doubts creep in. Decisions made in seconds can shape the outcome of an entire season. The Yukon isn't just physically demanding, it's psychologically exhausting. Permafrost fights back at every step. Excavators strain against frozen ground. Pumps battle relentless water seepage. Engines roar for hours under a sun that barely sets, reminding everyone that time is precious and fleeting. Yet despite all that resistance, the gold continues to appear. Cleanup after cleanup reveals that unmistakable shimmer in the sluice mats, proof that the gamble is paying off. Those moments around the scale, when the numbers climb higher than expected, make every sleepless night worth it. They validate the risk. They justify the sacrifice. So, what do you think? Can Parker really maintain this record pace all season long? Or is he riding a streak of lucky ground? And would you ever risk it all to chase gold in the Yukon? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates.